All right. Hello, Facebook family. We are here. This is Obina Indu, and I've got my boy with me here, Michael. This is my son. I'm excited to have him on here, you all. And I'm really excited for you all. We've been doing these lives daily for the last couple of days, and we're going to do them live every day leading up to the Unleash Your Best Version of You 2008 conference. 2018. Wow, 2008 was a long time ago. So we're going to do that on Tuesday. So we're excited for you all, and I hope you guys check out the one that we did yesterday with Uncle Frank. Powerful stuff. But listen, today we're going to hear a teenager's perspective. We've done a single person's perspective, a married couple's perspective, a pastor's perspective. We did a millionaire's perspective yesterday, and today we're going to do a teenager's perspective. And who better to have on the show than one of our very own, one of the Indus, if you will. And he's the oldest one. And you guys hear us talk about it all the time. We have 5 children and 1 in the oven cooking. And so wanted to have you hear from those children, because I think it's one thing for you to be blessed. It's another for people to start to witness the blessing that is coming from worshiping God and putting things in the proper order. So without further ado, I want to introduce you all Michael. This is our oldest one. And so Mikey, if you don't mind telling the audience, how old are you?
It's funny. We were just talking about this. He asked me this question earlier, and what I said was what I'm going to say now. I always forget my age. Like every time somebody asks me, I either say 12, 13, 14, but I'm actually 15.
15?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So I'm happy he knows his age, y'all, because I know his age. If you don't believe me, my bank account knows his age. We bought him some sneakers like yesterday, and he outgrew them already. But of course, I'm exaggerating. But no, seriously, he's grown like a seaweed. The guy's taller than me now. But anyway, so listen. Look, Michael, so I'm just going to throw some questions at you, okay?
Okay.
All right, excellent. So, Michael, as a teenager in today's world, I know that things are different for you all than it was for us, growing up. And you and I oftentimes talk about these things and the differences. What would you say in your world, maybe based on a little bit you might know about our world and how much we grew up in and all those differences? What would you say in your world today, in a teenager's perspective, makes this a rather unique time, maybe a good time or challenging time?
Well, honestly, I'm sure the answer is like staring you in your face. Actually, it's technology, really. Before, I don't think in your era you could text your friends.
No.
Before you couldn't have your friends text you saying there's going to be a party at their house tonight or that they're going to go out to the park and play a ball game. You couldn't do that before. You had to go and meet them in person. Which, there are pros and cons to this, but that's pretty much the main difference in our societies. And now, because of that technology, our personalities have changed a little bit, but we're still humans. So,
Yeah, I agree. I think that's very well said. In fact, we didn't have texting. I coming from a whole nother continent. We used to use that whole, Morse code. We didn't have phones. Really? I'm joking. All the Nigerians, don't be mad. It's a joke. Relax. Okay. So anyway, what would you say? Texting and that technology side of it. What are some of the blessings that come from that?
Oh, there's so many. You can tell your friends that you won't be able to do something that before you couldn't really tell them and they'd just be mad. Like if you had to cancel a reservation or something,
right?
Or you can make last minute reservations as well. Like you can make plans, or you can make plans in advance without having to get dressed, get on your bicycle and go over to your friend's house.
That's true. Yeah, it's definitely helped in a lot of ways. Well, in what ways do you think it hinders teenagers today?
I mean, I think we go outside less. We don't get as much exercise, maybe, not all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. Just like we're into the phones and not enough outside.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. It's one of the things Mommy and I have always tried to do our best. I shouldn't say try, because you either do or you don't, right?
Yeah.
But we've given our best whenever we could to give that balance. And speaking of balance, how important is it for the parents that are watching and for the teenagers that will watch this, as you know, that they have that balance, right? Because technology is a good thing, but there's yin and yang. So how important is that balance for the teenagers to remember, hey, even though things technologically are pushing forward, there are still, traditional old school concepts that no matter what shows up have to still be present.
Okay. Honestly, there's ups and downs to everything. There were ups and downs to things back in my dad's age, even in his country. Probably things like maybe going out and hunting too much and not spending time with your family.
He's poking fun at me, y'all.
Yeah, sorry. Or going out and just like running around and not really doing your chores. There's always ups and downs to everything in life. Like you can drink too much water and die. You can eat too many vegetables and not get enough nutrients because you need other stuff, obviously.
Right.
But like, I feel like technology is the same thing. Like there's upsides. Like you can use it. Definitely, we're using it right now. We're not like being hypocrites. You can use it just like there has to be a gap.
Yeah.
Like at some point you have to be able to say no.
Enough is enough, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. So there's this gentleman by the name of Jim Quick, who I actually stumbled onto his videos on YouTube. And he was labeled when he was growing up as the boy with the broken brain. And the reason was because he had a deficiency mentally. And then as he was getting, growing up, he would think he was like 5, maybe. He fell and hit his head. So it made that even worse. So he got labeled the boy with the broken brain. But it's interesting because that's where he came from. But today he's the guy who's actually one of the foremost experts on memory, on using your brain power to change any aspect of your life. The guy is a multi-millionaire, and some of his philosophies are mind-blowing. In fact, he mentioned on the video I was watching that your brain is a superpower, and self-talk is the program that it runs. And in today's day and age, with the millennials having access to so many things at their fingertips, what would you say, Mikey, in terms of the importance of, for those teenagers and for the parents watching, in terms of, the self-talk, right? In terms of the things they tell themselves, whether it's about their character or their own personal behaviors, sometimes they lose sight of, how should I say this? That whatever they tell themselves is the most important conversation in the world. So how important is self-talk?
Honestly, self-talk is very important. I talk to myself a lot, not that I'm crazy or anything, but I do talk to myself a lot, and I try to be positive, but I also try to push myself. Like, for instance, piano. I started piano like 4 months ago.
Right.
I can read notes, kind of.
Right.
And I know a couple songs by memory.
Right.
Everyone tells me I'm doing pretty good for like where I'm at in my journey of playing piano. But honestly, I just push myself very hard. I practice a lot, and I try to play songs that are a bit out of my level at times. But I do like to practice, and I do like to push myself, and I'm self-talking to myself, and I'm seeing improvement, like a lot of improvement. I never knew I'd be able to, like, I'm looking at these songs thinking, oh, I can't play this. And like a week later, bam, I know it by memory. So yeah, self-talk is super important. You have to tell yourself that you can do it. You have to push yourself, or else it might in fact not happen. Yeah,
I agree. And in fact, you said self-talk, and you said you push yourself. At first you saw it and you're like, man, this is impossible. But you push yourself. What does that look like when you say you push yourself? Like, I mean, because I know everybody wants to do that, right? Everybody wants to develop a new skill, develop a new talent, a new strength. They want to push themselves. What does that look like for you when you're pushing yourself?
When I'm pushing myself, honestly, I just stop what I'm doing. Stop being negative, saying, you know what, I can't play this. Stop. Well, maybe now, but I know if I practice, I can play this. That's honestly just telling myself that gives me motivation, and that's all I need to start playing it.
Right. That's awesome. That really is, Mikey. I know a lot of folks get defeated in that, that they don't realize that the conversation that they live in, right, is the one that determines the life that they're living. Right. And I think a lot of folks mix that up. It's the conversation. What are you saying to yourself? There's a quote that goes, be careful what you say to yourself, because somebody very important is listening. It's really strong. So, I mean, you talk about pushing yourself. You obviously have to tell yourself at some level, I can do this. I can figure this out. Is that what happens when you do that self-talk?
Yeah, that's exactly what you have to do.
Wow, that's awesome. So, Mikey, question for you. Let me dive a little deeper here. What's a I don't know, a daddy moment that you, and I know people are going to send quotes and questions. Oh, by the way, you all, almost forgot to say,
this guy's self-talk.
He said self-talk?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Hey, you all, please, any questions you want me to ask my son, just put it in the notes here, put it in and post it, and we'll pull them up. They're down here. We'll pull them up and I'll have him answer them. So if you don't have a teenager, if you have a teenager and you're having challenges, or you just want to get another teenager's perspective, go ahead and post it in here, y'all. Remember, it's about being a good parent, right? Not just about being a parent, but being a good parent. So you have a chance to pick another child's brain today. Maybe they can bless you in your situation. So you see any questions up there, son?
Obi, good evening.
Yeah, a lot of people say hello. But let me ask you one. Here's a question. Give them a second. They'll post it.
Okay.
So Mikey, what's a daddy moment that you would say you've had? Oh, there you go. That's a good one. But before we answer that one, what's a daddy moment that you've had? Like a time when you and I may have had a talk, or some philosophy, some principle that I shared with you that you took on and applied in some way, or mommy shared with you. What's one of those that has shown up in your life in some way?
Honestly, this one's from a while back, but remember what you taught me about the Statue of Liberty? Yeah, what he said was, I have to be like the Statue of Liberty. If you go spit on its shoe, if you kick it, no matter what you do, it's always just going to stand there. And that's what I have to be like. I actually have a story, this one that I told you earlier.
Yeah.
So I go to a boarding school, and it's a pretty small boarding school, so everyone there is pretty close. But me and my friend had this fight. So we were at the lunch table, and what he did was he took my cup of water and he threw it at me, the water. I wasn't, it was supposed to be like a gesture of upsetness, not to make him look bad. I did take a piece of his food to make him do that. It was pretty good. But
the food was pretty good?
Yeah. But what he did afterwards, he threw the water, and I basically didn't do anything. He didn't throw all of the water at me, so I took the rest of my water and drank it, and then got more because I was thirsty.
Right.
But honestly, I just didn't even bother saying anything, doing anything back. I didn't need to, honestly. What would the point be? If I would do something, then he would get mad and it would get worse. And, like, if he does that and it calms him down, that's fine. But honestly, I'm going to choose to be the Statue of Liberty in that moment and just not do anything. And you know what's funny? I didn't even think about that. It was just second nature. Like, honestly, I didn't even have any desire to do anything back because of you telling me that stuff for over and over. Kind of like brainwashing, but in a good way. I just didn't even think about the other thing.
That's awesome. So you mean to tell me, because parents are watching, right? They've got teenagers, or maybe some of them, already been past the stage where they raise teenagers. So let me ask you a question, Mikey. So you mean to tell me all those times I was saying that thing to you about the Statue of Liberty, because we've had that conversation multiple times where I kept bringing that up. You mean to tell me, regardless of how I felt in that, man, he's not listening, I've told him this 12 times already. You mean to tell me you were actually receiving me?
Yeah, completely.
Wow. Parents, I hope you guys are taking heed in that you may feel like you're a broken record, but your children are actually taking you in. I mean, think about you with your parents. I remember when I was growing up, my mom would do dang, 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 same thing over and over, and she didn't realize that it was sinking in. It may not have gotten into me the first time. Maybe the first time was her, digging the soil, right? And there's no seed yet. Maybe the third time is when the seed went in. Maybe the fifth time is when the soil went on top of the seed. Maybe the seventh time was the sun hitting the seed, right? So, but the point is, whatever you repeatedly focus on is what you will have. And it's really, really important for us as parents to know that. By the way, for those of you who may not understand the Statue of Liberty story, it's literally this. The Statue of Liberty, right? She's sitting there right now. What is she doing, Mikey?
Just standing.
She's standing there. What is she? Is she holding anything?
I think she's holding the Bible and a torch.
Yep, she's holding the Bible and the torch, right? And if right now she's also smiling. So what if I'm a bird and I fly over her and I drop bird poop on her? What does she do? What, she's still standing there doing what? Holding and that's it. She's doing the same thing no matter what. What if I come by and I curse at her? She does the same thing, right? What if I kick her?
No response.
She does the same thing, right? Okay, so if that's the case, Michael, what does that speak to about the Statue of Liberty, that C word? Character. Ladies and gentlemen, and that was the lesson that I was sharing with my son over and over and over. It's about your character, because your character needs to be steadfast no matter what comes. Your character stays the same. No matter what tribulation, your character stays the same. And as parents, though, here's the crazy thing. That's who we have to be for them. So we have to hold that torch for them. And then when we teach them what we're doing, then what they do, they automatically get a torch in their hand. Their character starts to show up. You heard him a minute ago say he didn't even have a desire to go after the kid, even though his friend said, man, you could have, and it was warranted, but he didn't even have a desire. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it makes me proud when him and I have these conversations, because he mentioned that to me earlier. We were in the kitchen just yapping today, and he told me that story. And I was so flawed by it. So thank you, son. It makes me feel good as a parent to know that I'm not wasting my time. You know? Thank you, son. So here's another one. Somebody on here asked, what is it that inspires you?
What inspires me? One thing that really inspires me is when I look at my dorm mates and I see there's this one dorm mate in particular. He plays the piano all the time. He's really good. What inspires me is when I see him play the piano. Because honestly, he is an amazing piano player. He can play by ear and he can play almost anything. It's really amazing. And honestly, that inspires me to keep playing piano and to do what I want to do in the future. Honestly, what inspires me in general would be that same thing, watching someone above me succeed. That really inspires me. And I say to myself, I want to be like that one day. Right. I want to be that good or even better. Right. And that's what inspires me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is really spectacular, son. And I love the fact that you're present to that. You know, a lot of folks get inspired, but they're not present to it. You know, that's why they may be the positive person. They're good people. But 10 years, 20 years, they're still broke. They still got bad health. They still got a bad marriage. They still bad with their kids. Even though they're inspired and they're good people, inspiration and being good is just not enough, but being present to it, then you can actually act from it, you know? Because I'm sure that drives you when you go to play the piano, because you seeing him, you know, doing what he does naturally inspires you, but because you're present to it when you go to play, does it affect you?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have something else to say.
Go for it.
If you ask it later.
No.
If you don't, I'll say it.
No, I want you to share. The Holy Spirit is present. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, what I do is a lot of times.
Don't worry, I'll get the questions for you.
Okay. What I do a lot of times is I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
That's okay. I'll get the questions for you. Don't worry.
What was the question?
The last one? It was what inspires you, and you said you had something else you wanted to add to that.
Yeah.
Take your time. I'll get some of these questions on here for you now.
I really forgot. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Completely forgot. It'll come back to you.
Wow, that's weird.
It'll come back to you. Okay, so Mario Reynolds asked the question. He says, Michael, what keeps you from doing what most young men are doing? Partying, jail, unplanned parenthood, basically, drug dealer, the world out of the view of parents. Wow, what a question. So I guess basically when you're away from us, what is it that keeps you from getting involved in those things? What a great question, Mario.
Honestly, you know what I would say? I would say I'm not even like around those things. But honestly, that changed when I went to this boarding school. Not to knock the boarding school. It's quite nice. I like it. But one time I was in the dorm and I walked in on one of my roommates, and there was this alumni. He brought in a vape and he had like 45% on it. And that's what my friend and him took. And I walked in and they were doing that. And I was just like, not interested. Honestly, I'm just not interested in stuff like that. Partying, drugs, unplanned parenthood, in jail. That's just not appealing to me. Right. I'm not really looking forward to jail. Not that I'm going forward to that either. But honestly, I'd just rather have good grades. I know that's like probably what all parents want, and that's exactly what I want too. That I want good grades because I realize that if I get a 4.0 in high school all the way through, then I can go ahead and get a good ride in college, a good scholarship in college.
Yes. Yeah, that's awesome. And speaking of, Michael, I know, and this is not to brag or toot his horn, you guys, but I'm just going to ask him because I want y'all to see what happens when you actually show up as parents. So Mikey, here's a question for you. I know you, speaking of scholastics, are you in your proper grade? Did you step down a grade? Where are you in terms of time frame?
I think I skipped the 6th grade.
Yeah, you actually did. You skipped one grade. He bounced around. Some of you may know we had a house fire a couple months back, and then we had to move to another state and take them out of that school and put them in different schools. So yeah, he skipped a grade, y'all. Not because he got bumped around, but because of his intellect, because he actually applies himself to his schoolwork. So Mikey, okay. So in terms of down the road, right, your future. Right, because sometimes I know. What, you see another question?
I'm just looking.
Oh, okay, okay, guys. Hey, please keep the questions coming too. Great question, Mario. But in terms of the future, down the road, right? You and I had a conversation a couple of weeks back about your plans for the future in terms of your academics. You know, you wanted to take certain classes now and things, right? So tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so basically, what I'm going to do. I'm a sophomore in high school this year. And I'm sorry, I was just looking at a question. Yeah, it was a comment. I don't know if it was a question.
Okay,
it was kind of a question. But I looked at I'm taking the ACT this year, and I'm a sophomore in high school. So I mean, I don't think that's when most people take it. I think I'm ahead. I'm not sure though. But what I'm going to do is I'm studying for it now, and I think I'm taking it in April, and I'm hoping to get at least a 30, like baseline, at least a 30, so that I can take college classes. That's not what I need to take college classes. I think like a 20 something, but I don't need to study for that. And what I'm studying now, so I'm hoping I'm gonna get a 30 because I took a practice one before, and honestly, I filled in like completely random answers for one of them because I lost it. Like one of the science paper, I lost that one, so I couldn't get my answers for it, so I had to write in random things because I was already like it was due that day because I forgot about it. I know I'm being irresponsible, but that's what happened, and I got like a 23, which is already enough to take college classes. So now I have to take the actual ACT and get a 22 or above, but I'm aiming for a 30. But once I do that, once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and take college classes. And then when I take those college classes, I won't have to take all of the high school classes I'm taking. So I'm going to take a college math class, and then I'll be out of the high school math class, and I'll only have to do it in one semester. And also what I'm going to do is over this summer, I'm going to take Spanish and American history, and maybe one other class, so that when I take my college classes next year, I won't have as much stuff to worry about because I hear college classes are harder. So, you know, that'll free that up for me. And beyond that, I'll just keep on doing that college class and summer class thing, and I think I should be good to college with a pretty good scholarship, hopefully.
What grade are you currently in?
10th grade, sophomore.
10th grade. So you're still 2 more years in high school before you get to college.
Yeah.
And you're already talking and thinking about what's going to happen in college. I bring that up because as adults watching this, I know teenagers are going to take a look at this as well, but as adults watching this, here's one of the fatal mistakes that I see most grown-ups make, whether it's in their marriage or in their money or with their children. They're always looking at the next 30 days. They're always looking at, you know, the next paycheck. That's how far out they can see. And that's why some people live paycheck to paycheck, because that's all they're looking at. That's why some people live month to month, because that's all they're looking at. Here's what I found. Wealthy individuals, not just financially, wealthy financially and wealthy in other aspects of life, they think fiscally. They think annually. They think 5 years from now. They think 10 years from now. The further out you can see now, the easier it pulls you through any challenges that show up tomorrow. And so it's really, really vital to get that. I don't know if you noticed in his story as he was talking, he talked about how he basically, what most people would say, failed in a certain area with science. He forgot. He said he was a little irresponsible. Here's why I bring that up. First of all, because I love your honesty. That's amazing. And secondly, because I want all of us that are watching to learn from this. Here you got a teenager who's already figuring it out at 15, what some people haven't figured out at 51. What do I mean? You have to fail your way forward, right? I said a quote. I sent a text to somebody earlier, and I was reminding him. I said, listen, you show me a man who has never failed, and I will show you a failure. Every man, woman, or any that succeeded in this life, they failed forward. They did. That's how they did it. So somebody's going to see him when he's in college a year early. Somebody's going to see him when he's taken 15 credits of college in high school and is already half a semester ahead in college and say, oh, man, you're lucky. No, he's not lucky. He just failed his way forward, and that's what made him successful, not lucky. And so that's really strong, Mikey. So, Michael, let me ask you another question. Let's direct this towards mommy. Oh, somebody popped one up?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Let's do that one. Okay. Says, what do you think parents can do to reach their teens? Great question. Oh, mommy asked that.
At me?
Yeah, it's directed at you, and it's from mommy. So you better answer well, because she's cooking dinner tonight. So be careful. I don't want anything odd to show up in your plate. I want to see you in the morning. You know what I mean? I know she loves you, man. I'm just joking. Go for it.
What you can do to reach your teens, like, honestly, this is what you can do to reach everybody in the world, not just teenagers. You give them what they want as a reward. You incentivize them. That's just an easy way to get anyone. That's not just teenagers. We're talking in your business, in your company, in your day-to-day life. You can do that everywhere. It's not just your teenagers. So don't generalize it. But honestly, you ask them what they want, or you can just tell if you're that good. You ask them what they want, or you figure it out. And then you offer that if they do this. If you do A, then you get B. If you do B, then you get C. If you do that, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But honestly, just incentivize them, and I think that's a good way to get pretty much anyone. Yeah, I'd go for that.
Yeah, that is a great way to do it, right? Because that's why, isn't that the reason why any of us does anything?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Why else would you do it?
Yeah, because you have something good to go for.
Exactly.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What is the proudest accomplishment that you have in your life?
Oh, the accomplishment I'm most proud of. Probably learning Frosty the Snowman on piano. Yeah, I looked at that song and thought I can never play this. Now I can play it by memory.
Yeah. And I can vouch for that, y'all. He played it for us. Was it Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
I think it's Thanksgiving, right? He serenaded. I think my wife posted the video on Facebook. All right, let's see. I think another one came in. Let me just see if it's another question. He said, good answer, Mario. All right, awesome. So, Mikey, for those people that may be watching, because let me see where we are right now. Okay, for those who may be watching and are maybe having some challenges with their teenagers, you being a millennial, right? I mean, you guys are such a unique group, man, because y'all have grown up in such a unique time. Like you said earlier, from technology to, old school philosophies. If you were to give advice to parents that are watching who have teenagers and maybe having some challenges with those teenagers, what kind of advice would you share with them? I know you told them now a few minutes ago to incentivize their kids. But what else might you say to someone who may be struggling with one of their teenage children and they just can't seem to reach them?
Well, honestly, you have to see what they want to get to where they are. You can't get to where they are with what you want and have. Well, not necessarily have, but what you want necessarily. So you have to get into their world. So I guess perfect way to do this is just randomly ask them, what do you want? And then if you're trying to reach them, when they respond, you say, if you get this, or this, then you get that. That's basically all you need to do.
Right.
And I think they should learn a lesson from that. And if not, they'll remember it later on in life, at least. So that should help them. Honestly, I don't know what other way to do it, because like my dad said, all we do things for is incentive. If you can't get through to them, then they obviously don't have the incentive, so you need to give them one.
Right. I think that's a great answer. I think it's an awesome answer. It reminds me of when we were raising you and the rest of your siblings, mommy and I. Of course, you guys are shorter children at the time, not you anymore, but and we're way up here because we're taller, right? And so when we wanted to get into your world, we literally would squat down to your eye. You remember all this,
Yeah.
right? Right? Did it make a difference when we would talk to you guys from that perspective?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How did it make you feel?
Maybe subconsciously.
Yeah.
I feel like definitely made a difference.
Yeah.
I feel like it felt like you actually more cared about what my point was, and you cared about having a solution, of course, and also having a relationship with me. So yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that happens in today is that there's a disconnect between the millennials, between I think the next generation of the perillennials. I forgot the right term.
I'm sorry, what?
Did I mess it up?
I have no clue.
I don't remember. I think there's another term for the generation after the millennials. And those of you who may know, maybe you can type it in and remind us. But I think that's one of the places we miss is that there is a gap between the older generation and the younger generation. And that gap is filled with, things that swipe, right? They're filled with devices and technology. And rather than bridging that gap. And so you just heard us, one of the things my wife and I do when our children, when they're going through tough times, having issues in the house, we would literally squat down to their level, eye to eye, and talk to them. And it makes a difference. Here's a child who's been having that done to him now 15 years. And you just heard from him say that himself. So Mikey, I remember this. Okay, so there was a you mentioned you were at boarding school, all right? And about 2 weeks ago, you and I were talking, and I said, son, let me ask you a question. We were on the phone. He was still at school. And I said, son, let me ask you a question. Who is it at school that has impressed you the most? Or I forgot exactly how I said it, but that was the gist of the question. And you gave me an answer. You said your principal. And I thought it was rather cool for when I asked you, I said your principal. I said, well, why? And your answer it flawed me. What was your answer?
He gives a lot of compliments, honestly. That's it. He just gives a lot of compliments. He congratulates you when you do well, and he motivates you when you do poorly. Honestly, he gives a lot of compliments, and that's why I think he's very good at motivating, really. I think he motivates me the most at that school.
Right. Do you see the other teenagers respond to him in a similar fashion as you?
Yeah.
And you think it's because of that same quality?
Yeah, I feel like it's that.
So how important is it, we talked about how important self-talk is, right? You talking to yourself and the conversation you have with self. How important is the conversation in terms of positive conversation, in terms of reinforcing conversation, in terms of bigging up the child conversation from the parent to the child? How important is that conversation?
Well, honestly, it's incredibly important. Sometimes even if we're telling ourselves something and everyone else is saying the opposite, we might go with what everyone else is saying because that's how important others' opinions are to humans. I feel like it is one of the most important things out there, really. I honestly, if you have negative influences around you, you should just get rid of them. Just being honest.
Guys, it makes me so proud to hear him sharing these things at such a young age. I didn't learn some of this stuff until I was almost in my 30s. And here he is at 15. He's already figured things out. Man, it's so awesome. I think we had a couple of people throw some questions up here. How is it? Oh, this is a good one. Mommy's throwing some good questions. We should have had her join the interview. So she said, how important is it to wait to date while you're young? Just focus on your academics.
Honestly, it's better to wait on pretty much everything else and just focus on your academics. Because honestly, while you're in high school, a lot of people think it's your party time, best years of your life. Yeah, I think it's my time to prepare for the rest of my life, or the best years of my life, which will be when I'm making $1 million or graduating from high school. Probably the first one.
Yeah.
But honestly, I feel like high school is the time where you should be preparing for the rest of your life, not living the rest of your life.
Got it. I completely agree. Mommy does too. She said, great answer. All right. So Mario Reynolds says, the future you, how would you respond to the disrespect from teenagers today? Great. Mario, you're coming up with some great questions.
Honestly, I feel like if there's disrespect from teenagers, that's the same thing as disrespect from anybody. I don't like it. I mean, if you're disrespecting someone who deserves, disrespect is wrongly not respecting them, because there's not respecting rightfully, and then there's not respecting in the wrong person.
Right.
Like to our I'm trying to think of someone. To my dad, if he's being a good dad, there's no point, there's no reason, there's absolutely no cause for me to be disrespecting him. Now, if he was being a bad dad and he was misbehaving and just being a general bad person, then there would be some reason for not showing respect.
Right.
But honestly, disrespect is not a good thing, because that's just like, if somebody deserves respect, they need to be shown the respect.
That's right.
But honestly, a lot of times we place disrespect, or mix up disrespect and not deserving respect. If you don't deserve respect, you're not going to get respect. That's how that works. So just make sure, if you're thinking that you're not being shown respect, make sure you're being a respectful person. And then if you're not and you start being respectful, then the disrespect should disappear.
Right. Right. Well, what if you are the person who is deserving of respect, and yet you have a teenager who's disrespectful?
Well, you see, if they're being disrespectful, there must be some reason. Obviously, we just don't do things without incentive. It might be because of spite. It might be because of ignorance. It might be because of just annoyance. You just have to ask them. And honestly, it differs from person to person, but you have to ask them and see what you can do to fix that, because a respectful person would do that.
Right. That's awesome. Great answer. You know, it reminds me of in the word when Jesus was saying, turn the other cheek, right? Because sometimes when we get disrespected, we don't take the time to actually get into the other person's world. You know, I remember the story of the lady who, her husband came home and he didn't say hello, he didn't kiss her, he didn't greet her, and she just lost it. She flew off the handle, and I mean, cursed him out. And then when she was done, she said, and he's being totally quiet, he didn't say a word. When she was done, she said, you don't have anything to say? And he looked at her and he said, baby, my brother just died today. And she felt so horrible. So meanwhile, she thought she was being disrespected. In the meanwhile, the man was mourning, literally mourning a loss. And so I love your answer, Michael, in that we have to take the time sometimes to get into the other person's world and find out what's going on before we flip off the handle, right? Because the person might deserve it, but we don't know. They say we know what they did to us, but only God knows what was done to them. And so I think it's really strong that we take that time. So let's see if we have one or two other questions on here. I know people have been commenting like crazy, and then we'll move on here. Okay, go out. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. Best time to prepare for the rest of your life. So profound. That's awesome. If you were a dad, okay, that's good. That's good. Said Drea. Okay, when you are frustrated, what keeps you grounded? Wow, Drea, nice one.
When I'm frustrated,
yes, sir,
keeps me grounded? You know, a lot of times I don't get really frustrated. I mean, I have some arguments with my parents, but a lot of times, like outside of the house, I don't really get frustrated. I'm just kind of a passive person, really. But when I do get frustrated the most, it's probably when playing piano and I mess up. Well, what I do then to keep myself grounded and keep on going is just think of all the songs that I have gone through and haven't and have messed up on, and think of what my parents say: you have to fail your way to the top. And so honestly, you just have to keep on going even if you fail. But I mean, besides that, with my parents, I get frustrated sometimes, but outside of that, I really don't too much. When I get frustrated with them, we just talk it out. So.
I was just about to say that to you. Like, when you get frustrated with us, right? Just keeping it real. What do we do?
Yeah, I'm just honest. Like, if I don't like something, I don't like it. If I don't want to watch that, I just say I don't want to. Like, if I don't want to do something, I tell them I don't want to, and we talk it out. It's not like we have like a complete disconnect because I get frustrated.
Right.
Like they do. We just talk it out, really, and that's what you have to do.
Yeah, and I think that's important. I mean, because it's not always been peaches and roses, right? In the parent to child situation, but no matter where it goes, no matter how bad it may get, we always come back to the table and talk it out. We always find our way to get back to love. And I think that's one of the things that I will say. And Mikey, if I could ask you this, and I wasn't even going to go here, but you just inspired it, because this is a marriage platform, that we're speaking on. This is a platform where folks can come and learn about their relationships and how to get better. And those who may not be married yet can get ready for marriage. Would you say that no matter how bad things have gotten between us, no matter how bad things have gotten between you and one of your siblings, no matter how bad things may have gotten between mommy and I, no matter where anything happened, because we're humans, right? We mess up. We're not perfect. Only God is perfect. Would you say that, Michael, 100% of the time we have found our way to talk, even if it's a day or two later, and find some way to get back to love?
Yeah, I mean, if we're fine now, yes.
Absolutely, right? And so how important is that to a relationship? Whether it's a teenager and their parent or the husband and the wife, how important is it to not give up on the person that you say you love when good times, when the bad times show up? How important is it that as soon as you feel any type of compassion or empathy, to find some way to go back to love? Be the first to apologize. Be the first to say, I love you. How important is that?
Well, honestly, guys, if we think about it, the only way to lose is to give up in that situation. If you don't give up, then you don't lose, so you're winning. Do you see that? If you're not giving up, then you're progressing forward. If you're not giving up, then you're going somewhere. If you're not giving up, then there is a chance that you can reform or reconnect with your partner. So yeah, just don't give up.
That's awesome. That really is, man. Son, so let me see. Before I was about to ask you my final question here, but let me see if anybody said any other posted question.
Something down.
Okay. All right. Do you see one? Okay. Cool. All right. I think we've covered all your questions, you all. If you do have one, you got maybe another 2-3 minutes or so. Throw it in there before we end. But Mikey, final question for you from me. I know we've got this online conference going on, and you've learned about it because you've been away at boarding school, so you've heard about it on and off, and every time you come home for holidays, you hear about it more and more. As a child who is in the household like the one we decide to raise you and your siblings, and you see how we live our life, mommy and I, from not having to work a job to having the time to give you all the quality of life that you all deserve. Can you relate that in some way, or whatever else the Holy Spirit puts in your heart, in terms of why people should be at this event? It's taking place on Tuesday. I mean, we're literally, today's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We're 3 days away from the event. And some people may still be on the fence thinking whether they should do it or not. Any words of encouragement for them?
Well, honestly, in life, I feel like everyone has a plate. And I feel like some people, I see this a lot in school, some people just hold their plate and they're standing in the lunch line waiting to get their food. But I feel like you need to take your plate and you need to go out and find your food as fast as you can. Because some people, they wait till they're like not 100, but like really old, like 60 or 70. Not that that's super old, but they wait till later on in their life until they get that knowledge. And I feel like if the knowledge is out there, if the food is out there, you need to stop waiting in line and go out and find it for yourself. Like I have this roommate, his grades aren't the best, but I tell him to keep on going and to keep on striving to get 100s, especially in his math class. In his math class, what he does is sometimes if he doesn't know the problem, he just waits till the next day to talk to his teacher about it. Like immediately, like, oh, I don't know that, let me do it later. You see? Like what I feel like he should do is he should look at the problem and try and figure it out for himself. Look at the book, try and figure it out. Go to other people that you can go to now and try to figure it out. Go and get the information for yourself, because that is the most important thing in life. Going and having that drive, having that desire, having that motivation, having your own inspiration, and not having someone else give it to you. That is one of the most important things, I feel like. because if you have a drive, then you can go and get that. And this is actually the perfect example to have that drive. It's the perfect example to go out and watch them talk about. I'm not sure what you guys are talking about, but it's information. And I mean, if you think I have good information, they have like 10 times that. So I feel like if you go out and you go to this meeting, then you're going to get information. You're going to get that food on your plate. You're going to get maybe even seconds. You're going to get very good information. And you might also start forming the habit of going out and finding the information for yourself, which is 10 times more important than that. Like, super important.
Awesome. So you guys heard it from a teenager's perspective. Drea threw a question in here, and I don't want to go off air without sharing this. And okay, Drea says, what do you think your siblings would say is your greatest attribute? And we'll close on that one, you all.
My greatest attribute?
Yes.
I have no idea. I really have no clue what they would say. Cooking. I mean, I'm pretty good at cooking. I cook grits a lot, and I bake sometimes. My siblings?
Yeah. Great question.
That's a really good question.
It's a really good question.
I'm having to think about this a little bit. I really think that they probably say my greatest attribute is my fairness, really. Sometimes, like, I'm pretty just when it comes to like retribution in terms of punishment. Like, if one person does something, then I'll go and maybe just not even tell my parents. Sometimes I'll just like talk to them about it, and we'll resolve the situation. If my brother's, if I'm supposed to make sure he's up, if he's not up, then I won't like go down his throat for it. I'll just like wake him up. I won't like be like super upset that he's not up when he's supposed to be, even though he is supposed to be. But yeah, that's probably what they would say.
That's awesome.
I couldn't say for certain though.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to being fair, which is an absolute great attribute of any leader. And we talk about that in our household all the time, in that it's always about leadership. And so, well, hey, listen, you all, I'm grateful to Mikey for being here with us, and not only being here, but being honest and powerful about being here, you all. This was awesome, Mikey. You did a phenomenal job. You can feel your heart in your answers. You can tell that you spoke the truth, and you just shared what was present for you. Thank you, son. I love you, man. Great job. All right. And so any final words, Mikey, before we wrap up?
Final words.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to do that?
No, if you want to. Anything you want to share. Any closing comment, anything that's present for you?
A kind of running theme in what we were talking about today was inspiration. And I said it a little bit in that little thing I had before, but I just want to say it again. Honestly, in this world, most humans don't do anything without a drive, a motivation, inspiration, a point. Honestly, one of the most important things, something extremely valuable, is the ability to make your own reason, make your own drive, and not having someone else have to give it to you. Honestly, I feel like if you can make your own drive to go and get straight A's in high school, then you can do it. If you can make your own drive to go and start your own business, then I feel like you can do it. But if you're just waiting around hoping that someone says, if you do this and get straight A's, then you get $1 million, then I feel like that's good and all, but I feel like making your own is better.
That's awesome. That really is. Thank you, Michael. So, hey, listen, you all know we are 3 days away from the event. Today is Friday. The event is actually taking place on Tuesday. So I guess, what is that? Technically 4 days away. So please, if you haven't done so, go ahead and get registered. Also, for those of you who want to take advantage of the scholarship to actually attend the event without for somebody else having to cover the registration cost for you, you can do so. Please check out the Covenant Marriage page to see that. In fact, we have a winner that we would like to announce to you all today, so she can have her free ticket. She followed the instructions, did what she was supposed to do, and she's got it. So Myra Whitaker, is the first winner of that promotion. So remember, there are several more that you can take advantage of. So if you would like to attend the conference and maybe your finances are a little rough right now, there's a way that you can attend. So check out the promotion that we've got. Again, it'll be pinned to the top of the page on Covenant Marriage Academy. So if you haven't liked the page, go ahead and like the page so you can have access to the page and see that information. So we're giving away more tickets, sponsored by the CEO Circuit. And we're also giving away cash to 3 families this Christmas season. So look forward to seeing you all tomorrow, either tomorrow or Sunday for the next one. Not sure yet. We will let you know. We're working on a few guest speakers for you all. We're doing this. We want to do this daily up until the event. So stay tuned, stay inspired, and stay blessed. God bless you all. From Obi and Michael Ndu. We'll talk to you guys later. Good night.